Today we will be diagnosing a Colorado, just a 2016. It's a no start. There you go. There you go, that's what it sounds like. Sounds okay. It does have a little bit of a funny sound to it when you're cranking, but it's not obvious. Not like a lack of compression or something like that. So let's probably go and see if there's any fault codes in the computer and do some scan tool testing maybe. Trouble codes. Camshaft position sensor 2 circuit. Let's just have a look at that fuel pressure data. Let's see what we see on the fuel rail pressure. So I'm just going to go and crank it again. So desired is 30. So it's not building any fuel pressure as well. Okay, see if anything here. Injector command, let's try that. Let's see if it's commanding. Obviously having no pressure in the rail, the injector automatic is going to be disabled, you know, on most cars, but let's see if it's trying to command the injector or not. And there's nothing there on the injector command as well. Car cranks, but there's no fuel rail pressure, and it's throwing up us a cam position sensor fault. So I already, okay, this is just my assumption, I already kind of think I know what's going on here, but I'm gonna take it slow. I'm gonna do a few more steps before I tell you what might be at fault. Okay, I'm kind of leaning towards, you know, in my head I think what's going on here. Which one is it? Sensor 2. So does that mean there's a 2 sensors, cam sensors in this car? I don't know. I can see one at the front there. We can do some testing there real quick. Look, it's gonna be easy. I would say it's either gonna be Hall effect or induction type. So judging by the wire and the signal it's going to produce, we can figure that out as we do our testing. We don't need the wiring diagram for that, right? Okay. And so I can see this one's a 3-wire sensor, and it's got gray, yellowish 3-wire, but doesn't matter what wire is what. We know this is going to be 5, and earth, okay? Or sometimes it could be induction with the extra sealed earth. So let's just figure out that. Let's find out which one is my earth here first. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to battery positive right here. So when I find earth, this test light is gonna light up just like that. So let's just, without damaging the terminals, I'm just gonna touch the pins at the front here, just gently, one at a time. I may need a probe. The pins are very small on this, so I'll just use a little probe here and see if I can find the earth. Obviously ignition on, so on the second one I can see there's a earth, so you guys can see or not, but the second one is my earth. Test light lighting up. So other two, I'm assuming they're gonna be 5 volt and 5 volt. Okay, if I believe this is a Hall effect sensor. Okay, so I'll just use my scope for this one. Alright, so I'm just gonna go to battery negative and then my channel 1. We know the middle one is earth. I'm gonna simply touch the other 2 wires one at a time and let's see what happens. So I got my 5 on that, and I also got I'm not damaging the terminals here, I'm just simply gently touching it. So I got 5 volts on both end wires, okay, end pins, 5 there and 5 there. So one of them gonna be 5 volt sensor supply voltage, right, and another 5 volts going to be my signal. So this is a Hall effect type sensor, guys. So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab another channel because I don't know which one's going to have the signal, so I'll just back probe both my 5 volts, so we know we'll catch it once we have a signal on it. Okay, on the scope, so we have 5 volt on both the wires. I'm not worried about the earth, we know the earth is good. Okay, we're still good on the connection. So one of them going to have a Hall effect square wave signal when I'm cranking the engine, okay, if everything is right here. There you go. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna go and pause that scope and let me go back. And the whole time I'm cranking here, guys, there is no signal that I want to see, okay? The whole time on both 5-volt, both wires, I have nothing. One of them should have a square wave pattern if this sensor was working just fine, okay? But there is none. So this little bit of a noise you see, that's from cranking starter motor, obviously. Cranking situation, of course you're going to have a little bit of a signal change there, but there is no signal that I want to see. So this cam sensor is not making any signal. I want to take the cam sensor out and I want to manually energize the cam sensor and see if our cam sensor is working. Our wiring is good, our computer is good, because, or I can assume that at this stage, because we got 2 5s and 1 earth. That's all we need for the sensor to work, right? It should have worked. But from the beginning, I'm leaning towards something here. I just don't want to give it out to you just yet, otherwise it's not going to be fun to watch the video, right? So, but I'll reveal that soon once I gather enough information here. Okay, so let's go and pull that cam sensor out, and then let's see if we can energize and make our signal for cam sensor. Actually, before we do that, I want to quickly erase that fault code and let's see how quickly the fault code comes back. So if it's a circuit fault, the engine doesn't need to be cranking, okay? The fault code should return really quickly, most of the cases, okay? So let's do that just for experiment here, guys. So I'm gonna clear this fault. Okay, fault's gone. Fault's not coming back. Let me turn the ignition off and on a couple of times. The reason I'm doing it is because I don't believe it's a circuit fault. However, our fault code is saying it's a circuit fault, but there's everything available at the sensor, 5-volt earth. We could still have a sensor problem, but there's no wiring issue so far looking like that. Okay, so read the faults. I've cycled the ignition multiple times, nothing coming out. Let me try to crank it now. Okay, car still at no start. Let me read that fault. All right, boom. So fault code definitely comes back after you crank the engine, okay? It doesn't come on just by ignition on and off. It only comes on when you crank the engine, okay? That's already, again, another sign that proves what I'm thinking is going on with this car, okay? It's an 8mm bolt right there, so we'll just take that off. And then I'll take this sensor out. So as soon as I take it off, my blue channel went to 0. So I'll put it back on again, and the blue channel went to 5. So that already tells me the sensor can work, okay? Look at that. Sensor off, if you can see it. 0 volt, sensor in, 5 volts. Off, 0, 5 volts. So this sensor can do its job, okay? I'm just gonna go grab a little spanner or something real quick. All right, so now we know our blue channel is our signal. We can get rid of this red channel now. Ratchet here in my hand, okay? And I'm gonna make that sensor do its job. So I'm just gonna go and tap on the sensor. I'm not touching it, I'm just going over the sensor, okay? Just going near the sensor. Gentle tap is fine. Obviously you don't want to damage it. See, as I'm going in and out of that sensor tip, I can make that signal. I can make the signal for Hall effect crank, for Hall effect crank sensor right here. So nothing wrong with the sensor. Our wiring is good. Our computer is good, okay? That's what it looks like right here. So all I'm doing is just going near the sensor with a metal. At the moment I'm using just a ratchet, and I'm just going near that sensor and I can make that signal on the scope, as you can see. All this is making me believe, now I'm going to reveal what I've been thinking from the get-go, okay? That our engine is not turning. at least our camshaft is not turning. Okay, that's what looks like. First of all, we don't have fuel pressure. We crank the engine, we don't have fuel pressure. We got cam angle sensor fault. Okay, but it says circuit fault. Whether it is circuit fault or not, I don't know how computer is coming up with that, but it looks like it's a performance fault. It's not making any signal. If the camshaft is not turning, obviously the signal is not going to get generated, even if the camshaft is all intact. In our case, we proved it, nothing wrong with the cam sensor circuit, okay, and cam sensor itself. So no fuel pressure, cam sensor fault. The engine does sound a bit funny, however it doesn't sound like losing compression. It does sound a bit off, okay. All three things put together, I believe there's something going on with this engine. The top end of the engine is not turning. So it is a timing belt design. Maybe the timing belt has broken off. Okay, so I'm going to go and pull the cover off. Let's see, that's the top cover, just enough to sort of see what's going on there, if we can find evidence here. I can only get to this top four bolts here. I can't get everything, so I can't really take everything out, but I can spread this a little bit to sort of see, if we can, what's going on inside there. Alright, right in there, as you can see, that our camshaft gear up here is broken, and the timing belt is just a little bit left there. Mostly it's gone, it's shredded. Okay, that timing belt has jumped. Okay, that's what's happening. We could crank the engine while I'm watching that, but I don't have an assistant here to show you guys. Okay, so definitely the timing belt has jumped. That's why it caused that fault code and a no start and no fuel pressure. It all makes sense now. We got compression here, 100, 100, 64, 64. So looks like two cylinders are down, but again, I'm not sure about this compression test. Maybe it's a truth, it's a lie, we don't know. Obviously we need to get inside the rocker cover and then see what we can find the damage. It's just going to be a little bit more than what customer thought it's going to be. So basically it could be just the rockers and timing belt, it could be head repair, valve repair, we don't know. We're going to have to go in and inspect and do all that diagnosis inside the engine from this point onwards. (2016) Holden, Colorado, 2.8 liter diesel. Change your timing belts. This is what happens if you don't change your timing belt, and I have to struggle. Broken rockers. There's like hundreds of them here. All in there. Can you see? All the broken bits I pulled out of that head. Now there's more coming. All the rockers are broken. And hopefully that's it. Otherwise we're going to have to do the head repair here, valve damage, whatever. So we're going to pull it out, we're going to do some compression testing, and hopefully that's it.